This time on Captain Cash's laboratory, we're going to be working on the Department 56 Rockefeller Plaza skating ring. I don't have everything on it. I'm going to move this over and show you the box. So I don't have the flags up and I only have one skater. I don't need all the pieces attached to work on. Anyhow, I have it because it doesn't work correctly. So I have the skater. You can see it's stuck on the magnet, and then tree lights up. Skater doesn't move. Says it's supposed to play music too, but I don't know if there's a switch for that or not. But I'm assuming the motor is bad or something is broke internally. So I'm going to unplug it because this is one of the ones I tell you to be careful with. It's 120 volt only, no AC adapter. So once you open the bottom, you're dealing with hot power. So the tree just plugs in using a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack style connection. And this one doesn't come out. This one was laying in the box when I took it out. I'm assuming, based on the paint, that it was supposed to be glued in because this one doesn't move. Yeah, these don't come out, but I'm going to take it out so I don't lose it, since I already knew it was disconnected from taking it out of its packaging. So, on the bottom, we have the solid piece of plastic, which also is an indication it's 120 volts only. And it probably has a bad motor, and it's probably this motor right here. I just need to find the other parts of this motor right here. So there is no easy way to take the bottom off, and this one's going to be more fun because the flipper over, a lot of pressure on this. So I'm hoping it can pop out if I wiggle it just a little. No, that's pretty solid. So we're going to use the foam, which here's the flags, and here's the other skaters. And now we have a base to work with. Don't feel any loose spots around the edges. Well, they did a good job of gluing this one on. They didn't leave any gaps. So the problem with this plastic pan for repair is the heat it takes to separate the glue is actually hotter than it takes to melt the plastic. So there is no easy way to remove this. Sometimes if there's a gap, you can get it to start separating. Start is the key there. But if there's no gap, you just have to cut it. And that's probably what I'm end up doing anyway. So, the motor is right here. I don't know if you can see there's the wires. And do this. So it looks like when we have the wires here, and either the wire nuts are right here or they're right here. Here's the incoming power loop right there. I'm going to say the wire nuts are probably right over here underneath where the light is, because these are wire nutted on pigtails. Well, the reason I'm doing it this way is if you only can peel part of it and fold it, it's better. So these being translucent, you can use a flashlight and you can see, kind of like an x-ray, you can see where everything is. Also, if you squeeze, you do this, you can feel there's a lump right here. You know the motor's there. But I'm also concerned of which way the wires go. I mean, they could loop this way, they could loop this way, it could be a straight shot, which is right here, and they're almost straight, but there is a loop for strain relief. So, lights are coming back. 3. So I'm just gonna trim around the edge here. Just use a little lip. There's the lip. Also, just to make it better, I'm going to put a new blade in. This has been used a few times. So let's pop a new blade in so we can ensure a clean as possible cut. And this also has a perfect point. Well, this one, the very tip of it is worn off. Now, if you don't have the original foam, either from you threw it away or it disintegrated, because foam does break down over time, you can try and make something to hold it up. Foam blocks or folded up t-shirts or towels. Or you can heat up and remove that other angel, which will help a lot. Cut all the way through. Just be aware with the foam that there's no support in the front, so it can tip on you. All the support is right here on the foam to keep this part stabilized where the globe and the angels are supposed to be. So I'm going to open this like a big flap, and that way I can get to the rivets. if you watch my other skating rinks, they you rivet these motors in, because when this was made, Department 56 and was, you just replace it. Department 56 is more along the lines now of repairing. I've talked with Department 56 a few times, and they are more trying to get people to fix what they have, because they know these are expensive, and these older ones they don't make anymore, so you're kind of screwed if you lose it. So here we go. Here's your internals. So I'm going to make this just a flap, but I'm going to make the flap over here just so it stops pulling so hard on this step. Just don't want to cut the power cord, which is right there. That's what I'm trying to. There we go. It's a little better. So here's the power cord. Make sure I didn't nick it because I had it at an angle and shallow. And here's the wire nuts. So that's pretty close where the wire nuts were. The reason they kept fading out is because they're glued up high. And there's the sound button. So you got a basic circuit board there. You have your rectifier here. So the power comes in, splits off to the motor. It's also branched off into the transformer. And this transformer is 120 volts in, 4 volts AC out at 500 milliamps. Well, the LEDs in the plug, which is right here, can't really do AC. They'll flicker and they can shorten their lifespan. So these wires that go to the plug, right here, the greens, come up, and then this is a full bridge rectifier. So it converts the AC sine wave into a DC sine wave. So the LEDs last longer than they'll flash. Then we have, it's also this white wire because there's 3 connections. Your speaker, and that goes to right here and right here. So there's your blob chip. So that's the board that tells the lights probably to flash, but also has your music on it. And then this right here also has a rectifier and a smoothing capacitor, so the speaker doesn't pick up the noise from the motor. So pretty basic circuitry. It's all repairable unless that blob chip breaks. Just like always, if the blob chip breaks, it doesn't work anymore. So, and you can see the rivets. This is a 110, 120, 50, 60 hertz, 3 watt, 5.6 RPM CCW motor. And the replacements are 124 watt, so this is a little bit stronger. Clockwise, which means it spins the other direction. CCW means counterclockwise, and the replacements are clockwise. 50, 60 hertz, this is a 4.5 RPM per minute, and this is a 5.6, so this is stronger and slightly slower, and spins the wrong direction. But the magnetic characters, they'll self-turn. Unfortunately, a lot of these older style motors are hard to find, and the replacements aren't exact as far as speed, power, and direction. So you have to do what you have to do with what's available. I just had my Phillips. There it is. So I just had my Phillips out from the one I repaired before this. So these are number 2s, and I don't have my power drill in here, and then the screws are too big for the little hobby thing, so just do it the old-fashioned way. this is why you want to make sure it's unplugged. These two wires here are 110 volts or 120 volts depending on the power coming from your house. So you definitely want to make sure you don't have any juice, because that could be very unfun for you. Alright, so now we have the part that we need. I'm going to relocate this to a safer locale. So they put tape to hold down the disc. There's little pieces of, you can see the glare, tape. This one screw is also stuck in the tape. So I want to get the screws out so I don't lose it. Because we've got to drill out the rivets. And we need to make sure that we don't have metal shavings under the disc here. I also want to check the gear, the drive, or the mechanism, depending on how this one's assembled. Now, I just use regular Scotch tape when I put these back in. I do recommend taping them. When I first started doing this, I didn't. And then, especially if you live out here where it's hot, a lot of the time, it'll start to curl. It's also the perfect time to clean this if you want. You can clean in between the two layers with rubbing alcohol, and you can lubricate it. Oh, this one's belt driven. See, I was completely wrong. And we got some shredding of the belt from oxidization. Not a big deal. We have a broken magnet. That magnet's broken half. It's all in pieces. I'll see if I have any magnets that'll fit in here. We'll just take that out and we'll stick it right there. That magnet's good. So we definitely want to see if we can unscrew this. It probably won't unscrew. And the reason I say that is because if the motor's bad, you don't have any resistance to get the screw to break free. A little pressure on the pulley. And we got it. So it's a blade Phillips, meaning you can use a blade or a Phillips. I'm using a blade because it gives you more torque. Sounds funny, but it does. There we go. Now, the new one comes with its own flathead screw, and it is a keyed shaft, so let's make sure the key is the same. It is, but it's farther inset. So that shaft is slightly taller, but they don't make a replacement that's exact. So we'll see how this works. Here's the rivets. Use a sharp drill bit. You can drill them from the back, which is what I recommend, so that way you don't spin them in the plastic and make the plastic holes too big. These here, they used to be called Chicago screws, but I don't know what they're called now, but they're basically replacement screws, and that's what's going to take the place of this. The flat side goes up, so that way it clears the belt on this case. On the other ones, the gear or the moving mechanism. So I am going to go grab a drill, because just like my screw gun isn't in here, my drill isn't either, and that is because it is Halloween season and I'm trying to finish up my display for this year, and because my display is massive and very intricate, I've been making new stuff, which hopefully everybody will get to see this year. How we plan on filming it. There we go, just cleaning off the... So one I used the last time. So this drill bit's been used, this is like number 6, so about 6 times for drilling these out. I think it's a 1/4 inch, in case anybody's wondering the size. Yep, 1/4 inch. High speed steel cutting bit. So So I bought a pack of 3 of them specifically to do these. So as they start to wear out, I throw it away and grab the next one. If you need to know where to buy drill bits, Amazon, Harbor Freight, Home Depot, Lowe's, you can get them anywhere. But this is a 1/4 inch, and it works out good because it'll cut that off and won't go through the motor hole, so I don't have to worry about damaging the plastic. So, okay, I'll be back in just a moment. I'm going to go grab a drill so we can get this thing finished up and put back together and make sure that it works like it's supposed to. One moment, please. Okay, it's drilled out. To save your ear holes, I did it off camera just because it's loud and annoying. There's the rivets. There's the bad motor. So, one rivet did spin a little, so there's a little bit of a plastic burr. Easily scrapes right off. If it starts to spin, just stop and use a pair of tweezers to hold it. It's not common if they spin, but you can watch the other ice skating ring videos where I actually drill them out on camera. It's just that I learned in playback it is ear-piercing loud since you are drilling through steel or aluminum to drill out these rivets. So now that we have it out and the burrs are gone, there's no metal shavings inside, we line up this, and it's going to be the back 2 holes, because if we put it on the front holes won't line up and that won't be centered. So now this conversion motor you can get from Happy Holidays Parts. That's with Holidays with an S and Parts with an S. And I think they're like $28, $30 a piece, which is a far cry better than buying a replacement unit, especially since a lot of these aren't manufactured anymore. Now, this is always the fidgety part, because you got this really small lock nut that you got to stick right on there, and you got to hold the screw in. I don't know what size lock nut that is. And it's probably metric. Yeah. I'll just use needle nose. Apparently, my bits are not the right size. So, push the screw through, get the motor on, and if you can, because these are lock nuts, you can't spin them on all the way, but try and get them to spin on a thread. That way it stays. And then repeat the process for the other side. Now when you buy this kit from Happy Holidays Parts, it comes with the motor, it comes with the nuts, the screws. It also comes with zip ties for the wire, which that's in case you don't want to hot glue them back down, as well as lubrication for the track or mechanism or gears. Now you don't put any lubrication on a belt, so if you were to buy it and it comes with the lube, do not use it on the belt, please. You'll ruin the belt, and I don't know if he actually sells the belt. I've never actually asked. gets it snug enough for me to use a screwdriver and a pair of pliers to make sure she is tight. Now it is a lock nut, so it will get harder to turn, and that's so it doesn't back off and then fall apart while it's put back together. So there we go. Oh, see, I made a mistake. It's not centered in the hole. Not a problem. Fix that real fast. Like that. The only thing you would lube on this one is you can take that off and lube the center on that one, since it's a follower. You don't lube the belt, and you don't lube the motor. Please don't ever lube the motor. You can see that the large flat head fits perfectly in there. Doesn't come off, doesn't wobble. I can move it a little bit on the slack of the gear, but I can't tip it side to side. So that's it for that. I don't know if I have a magnet though, this size. Technically the magnet's fine, it's the mylar that's peeling off, which is a protective coating on the magnet to make it shiny. Also so it doesn't grind up the bottom of the disc. So I'm wondering if I can glue this back in and put something else on top of it. Maybe a very thin piece of felt or fabric. Because that's all the silver coating is just the silver coating to make the magnet slick. Because the magnet's very porous. So I'm going to glue this in, and while the glue is curing for a minute or so, I'm going to go see what I can find. Just a flattened out dollop of super glue, or in this case Gorilla Glue, which is the more porous side, that one. I want to put the porous side down so I get a better adhesion to the glue. I'm going to pause it again and see what I can find to put on that little disc that we call a magnet, so I don't tear up the bottom of that plate. Because what it'll do is you can see the magnet groove, you can see where it started disintegrating and starting to cut into it. I'm going to see if I can put maybe I have felt in different thicknesses. I don't want it to be too thick because then it'll put pressure and push and try and lift this. So it's got to be ultra thin. I was thinking about maybe cutting out a circle of this plastic bag and using that because it's slick. That might work too. Might have to do that. But let me go see what I got. So I'm going to pause it again. I'm also going to clean all this off. This is a combination of belt residue and that. The belt residue is the darker black. The kind of silverish gray is that magnet disintegrating, since it is dying. Well, the coating is coming apart. It's very common. I could order the magnet online and wait a few days. But we should be able to fix it with what we got lying around. Just some isopropyl alcohol. This is 99%. You can use whatever you want. I always reckon 91 or higher is the better to use. So now you can just see the wear marks. You can see the wear mark of the pulleys. See, circle, circle. And then this groove from the magnets. Now, there always will be a mar or a polishing, but there's also some striations on the inside edge where that magnet was starting to come apart. The striations is where it's cutting into the plastic, and that's what I want to slow down by protecting that. Especially because this is an older piece. I don't know the exact year of the Rockefeller Rink, but the guy that gave it to me to fix said it was an older one. He's had it for many, many years. So I'm going to go and to the room, see what I got for fabrics, and see if it's better to cut the plastic bag or use fabric. So I shall return in just a moment again. Okay, what I am doing was the plastic. So all the felts and other fabrics I've had or have are too thick, and I wanted something much thinner like this coating that was on here. So the only thing I could think of was using the plastic. It'll slide nicely on the bottom here. I also got shrink wrap for the wire nuts, and I got the tape out while I was letting that dry, the super glue to cure. So this only goes on one way. There's 2 notches for screws. So before you tape it on, if you put the 2 screws in just as an alignment pin, like so, now you know that it's where it needs to be for the tape. So of course the tape I have isn't clear, it's the frosted. But if you only put it on the very edge, like it was originally, it will not show on the skating surface. And basically just putting it where they had it originally. Also, my tape's wider. I do prefer Scotch brand. I found that the 3M Scotch works best on every type of adhesive. So you can use whatever you want, but I use Scotch 3M for my tapes, whether it be electrical, double back, duck, doesn't matter, because I find it holds better. Especially when I was doing a lot of custom cars, you want to make sure that it holds good with electrical tape, and the 3M tape holds the best, and it also seems to have the highest temperature reading. So that way you didn't have it melt off in an engine compartment. So that was the screw from the original motor. I'm getting rid of it. It's in the way. I don't want to screw it up or confuse it with the mounting screws. Let's get. So I'm going to go grab the base and put this thing back in. only goes in one way. And apparently this shifted just a little bit on this corner for the alignment tab. So let's see if I can slide her over just a hair. There we go. So there's alignment pins. That's why there's so many holes in this. It's not just for the screws, it's also for alignment pins. There we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 alignment pins. And now we just reverse the process. You put these in, just put them in snug, don't over torque them, you'll break the plastic. And you've created a whole lot more work for yourself. Magnetic screwdrivers help. So this is AC. AC has no polarity on these. It's not a polarized connection. So as long as you connect one side to one side and one side to the other, you're good. If you're going to use the wire nuts, do not solder them. If you want to solder them, make sure you have heat shrink or some other covering. I just put them back factory with wire nuts. You can also use Wago connectors. They work pretty good. And there's plenty of room in this one to use them because they're a lot larger. Sometimes they hot glue these, just so you're aware. Not only do they have wire nuts, but they put a bead of hot glue on them. I have, on the ones that have the hot glue, I'll redo the hot glue. So I'm sure there's a reason that maybe in testing or developing they found that maybe the vibration or something. But if they don't have hot glue, I don't hot glue them. And I'm talking about the nuts. I'm not talking about the wires to the bottom. And I know the originals were black. They don't have any fat black heat shrink. We got red, green, blue, and yellow. And clear. When you pick out your heat shrink, you need to make sure it's big enough to go over the nut. You can use a hairdryer heat gun. I'm going to use a lighter. I normally do, but just because it's a lot faster. It's also a lot better if you don't have a ceiling fan on. Keeps trying to put the fire out. I rotated it because the ceiling fan's right there. Well, there. And with this, it acts as a shield, so it quits putting my lighter out. Can't live without a ceiling fan in Arizona. It's crazy if you need some airflow. Plug her in. Make sure the motor works. good. See what I'm talking about? Oh. They have the magnet off center. There you go. Now, to clean these and make them slicker so they're not jarring, you wood furnish or polish. Wood polish, basically. I'll recommend it to the guy that owns this when I give it back. I'll clean the plate of the debris, the little marks and stuff, with some alcohol. But there we go. Oh, let's see if the sound works. Works. Okay. So now it's just buttoning it up and making it look good again. So I'm going to get the hot glue gun. I'm going to glue this back down. I'm going to run a bead around here and glue this back down. I'm probably going to super glue that angel back on and clean the plate. And we'll see what this looks like in the dark or low light with the Christmas tree. And I'm not going to put the flags in. There's just too many of them. So it'll just be the skaters and the tree. So I'll return in just a couple of minutes. Well, instantly on your end. Once this is all back together. So first thing we're going to do is let's get this hot glue gun starting to heat up and we'll go from there. Okay. Glued back down, glued the base on, glued the angel on, cleaned the top. There's a hair that apparently fell in here. There we go. Or a fiber for my shirt. Anyhow, let's see. Apparently I missed the... There it is. Here comes the sound. Where the button went. Oh, it's right here. It's loud. And lights off. All you see is a flashing tree. Turn on a night light or a backlight, see if that'll make it look better. There we go. Turn the sound off because it is loud. There's no volume control, it's just on or off. It's freaking loud. Anyhow, so this is the Department 56 Rockefeller Plaza ice skating rink, or skating rink since it doesn't say ice, but with the snow around their feet and the fact they're wearing ice skates, you know, go figure. But what this one needed, not counting gluing on the angel as a requirement or a need, is it needed the replacement retro motor system for this and a magnet repair, which didn't cost anything. So I will link below where to buy the motor kit. I said at the time of this, when I bought these motors, because I bought like 6 or 7 of them at the same time, they were like $38 a pop. So, but it's kit. Comes with all the screws, all the hardware, lubrication, zip ties, everything. Zip ties are so you don't have to hot glue it back down to the base. You can zip tie it to one of the standoffs inside the unit, which I could do, but it's over where the power comes in. They don't have any standoffs in the center, and I'm not going to zip tie it to the transformer because the transformers do get hot, and also if vibration movement wears the insulation, you can arc, and well, that would be bad. So I just hot glued it back down to where it was, and that's fine. You can use the zip ties for other things. But this one, the only thing you lube is that large follower gear, and you just take the screw out and put a dab of lube on the inside where it spins. Nothing more. One little itty bitty drop, a smear. I mean, we're talking minute amount. PTFE grease, not oils or WD-40, things like that, because it's corrosive to plastic. It means it helps it break down, causes it to get weaker. The petroleum jelly or petroleum sinks into the plastic and kind of turns into a jelly-like substance. So the two petroleums don't like each other. But other than that, that's all I needed. And a little cleaning. Cleaning up all the debris on the inside, cleaning the track top and bottom, making it nice and shiny white again and not with smears. All it needs now is a very thin layer of furniture polish to allow the slip to be more smooth. Just cleaning it is less jerky. Just removing the debris buildup that's stuck to it. Sometimes dust is just like a powder, and sometimes it's kind of got like that stickiness to it, and that's what this was. It was that stickiness. And that's probably because this was polished originally and it had stuck to the polish. Isopropyl alcohol for cleaning, 91% or higher is what I recommend. You can use 70%. I don't recommend it. The percentage is 70% alcohol, 30% water. 91% is 91% alcohol, 9% water. I buy 99% alcohol because it's 1% water, which means I have less to evaporate in the water side because the alcohol evaporates fast. And if you're cleaning a circuit board or a battery box, you have less likely to absorb more water into the corrosion. So I use 99%. You can get it on Amazon. I can link that below as well. It comes in 1 gallon jugs. It's cheaper if you buy 2, but unless you're making a lot of 3D resin prints or cleaning a lot of these, you probably don't need a gallon or 2 of alcohol. So anyway, that concludes this one. Thanks for watching. I'm going to put this back in the box and give it back to the owner. Again, the flags are sitting over there. I'm not going to put all the flags in. That would take too much time, and it's not beneficial to the repair. Alright, so until the next one.